The revolving doors spin at 4:12 p.m. Marble floors catch the afternoon light. Crystal chandeliers hang like frozen waterfalls. A pianist touches ivory keys near the bar, each note floating through air thick with money. The Elysian Crown Hotel doesn't just host guests. It hosts power, hedge fund managers, Silicon Valley founders, political strategists who shape elections over breakfast. Today, the lobby hums with something bigger, a $220 million redevelopment contract that could transform this building into the crown jewel of luxury hospitality. But power walks quietly, and nobody notices when it enters through those revolving doors. He wears a navy hoodie, faded, the kind you buy at Target and forget about. A canvas backpack hangs off one shoulder, worn at the seams. Boots that have seen real miles, not fashion runways. His skin is deep brown, his beard neat but not sculpted. No entourage, no assistant, no designer luggage cart trailing behind. Just a man who looks like he took the wrong exit off the freeway. His name is Cyrus Vallene. Most people wouldn't recognize him without the three-piece suit and the Wall Street Journal profile photo. Forbes called him the silent architect of urban revival. He built ardent Axis capital from nothing, bought distressed properties in Detroit when everyone else fled, turned abandoned factories into tech campuses, converted dying malls into mixed-use communities. 34 buildings across 9 cities. Net worth that makes senators return his calls. But Cyrus has a rule. Never trust what people show you. Trust what they reveal when they think you're nobody. So today, he's testing the Elysian Crown. Unannounced. Unrecognized. Because he's choosing the venue for his company's annual global summit, and presentations lie. Behavior doesn't. He crosses the lobby. His boots make no sound on the marble. 2 staff members glance his way, then look past him toward the glass doors, waiting for someone important. At the front desk stands Gavin Caldwell, Regional Operations Director. Sharp jawline, cufflinks engraved with the hotel's crest, hair gelled into corporate perfection. Gavin climbed the ladder fast, too fast, some whispered, but he understood luxury. He believed in standards, in maintaining the prestige that separated the Elysian Crown from every Marriott and Hilton in the city. He sees Cyrus approach. One glance at the hoodie, one glance at the backpack. Something shifts in his expression. Subtle, like a door closing you can't quite hear. "Can I help you?" Gavin asks. His voice carries that practiced hospitality that sounds warm but feels like glass. Cyrus stops at the desk. Smiles. Easy. Reservation under Vallene. Gavin's fingers move across the keyboard. Click. Click. He pauses. His eyes scan the screen, then flicker back to Cyrus. The pause stretches 1 second too long. Yes, we have a Vallene. Another pause. Presidential suite. He looks up, confusion mixing with something else. Something that tastes like suspicion. Are you with the Vallene party? The pianist hits a wrong note. Or maybe Cyrus just hears it that way. The lobby doesn't go silent. But the air changes. 2 women near the concierge desk turn slightly. A security guard shifts his weight. Cyrus holds Gavin's gaze. Steady, unflinching. I am the Vallene party. And right there, in that moment, something cracks. Not loud, not obvious. But if you know what to listen for, you hear it. The sound of assumptions colliding with reality. The sound of judgments being made in real time. The sound of a $220 million decision starting to unravel. Gavin blinks. Once. Twice. I see. He straightens. Corporate smile snapping back into place. Of course, Mr. Vallene. I'll just need to verify some information. Standard procedure for our premium suites. Standard procedure. Those words hang in the air like smoke. Cyrus slides his ID across the marble counter. Black American Express card right behind it. Both land with barely a sound. Gavin picks up the ID. Studies it. Not a quick glance. A study. Like he's reading the fine print on a contract he doesn't trust. His eyes move from the photo to Cyrus's face. Back to the photo. Back to Cyrus. Mr. Vallene, I'm sure you understand. We've had situations before. Guests who book accommodations beyond their means. Beyond their means. The words slice clean. Surgical. No yelling. No slurs. Just the quiet implication that Cyrus doesn't belong in the presidential suite. That someone made a mistake. That this black man in a hoodie couldn't possibly be the person dropping $8,000 for 3 nights. A couple waiting for the elevator stops talking. The woman's eyes dart toward the front desk. Then away. Cyrus feels it. That old familiar weight. The calculations happening behind polite faces. He's felt it in boardrooms early in his career when investors assumed he was the assistant, not the founder. In restaurants when the bill was placed in front of his white business partner without asking. In private equity meetings where his Stanford MBA suddenly needed more verification than everyone else's. Wealth erased many barriers, built new doors. But assumptions? Assumptions don't disappear. They just learn better vocabulary. Gavin sets the ID down. Doesn't return it yet. If there's been any misunderstanding with the booking, we'd be happy to accommodate you in something more appropriate. We have some lovely junior suites available at a more accessible price point. Appropriate. Accessible. The lobby might as well be holding its breath. Cyrus doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't lean forward. Doesn't react the way Gavin probably expects. He just steps slightly to the side. Pulls out his phone. Dials one number. Someone answers on the first ring. Pull the Elysian file, Cyrus says. Quiet. Calm. Then hangs up. For words. That's all. Gavin watches him. Irritation flickering across his features now. This disruption to his polished environment. This guest who won't accept the subtle redirect. This man who doesn't know his place. What Gavin doesn't know, what he can't possibly know, is that Cyrus Valine isn't just attending a summit. Ardent Axis Capital owns 34% of the development fund that will decide whether the Elysian Crown gets its expansion loan. Without that loan, the hotel's planned $90 million renovation collapses. The flagship contract dies. And Gavin's promotion to executive VP, the one he's been positioning for, the one that depends on this deal closing, evaporates like steam off coffee. But Gavin doesn't know any of this. Because power doesn't announce itself. It observes. It tests. It decides. And right now, the Elysian Crown is failing the test. For minutes pass. Maybe 5. Cyrus stands off to the side, checking his phone. Gavin processes another guest. The pianist keeps playing. The lobby keeps spinning. Then the music stops. Not dramatically. The pianist just finishes a song. But in that brief silence before the next one starts, the revolving doors spin again. 3 people enter. 2 men, 1 woman. All in suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. They move with purpose. Urgency without rushing. And at the center walks Lenora Kincaid, Chief Strategy Officer of Ardent Axis Capital. Sharp. Brilliant. Ruthless when necessary. Her face has been on CNBC, Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal. Anyone who works in commercial real estate knows who she is. She scans the lobby, locks eyes with Cyrus, walks directly toward him. What would you do if someone judged you based on how you looked instead of who you really are? Drop your answer in the comments. Lenora extends her hand. Mr. Valine. The words cut through the lobby like a knife through silk. Every head turns. The couple by the elevator freezes mid-step. 2 staff members near the concierge desk straighten. Even the pianist's hands hesitate above the keys. Cyrus takes her hand. Firm. Professional. Lenora. She turns to Gavin. Her expression doesn't change, but something in her eyes sharpens. Is there a problem? Gavin's face drains. Not all at once. Slowly. Like watching color bleed out of fabric. No problem at all. His voice comes out half an octave higher. Just following standard verification procedures for premium suite reservations. Lenora's head tilts. 1 degree. Standard procedures shouldn't feel like interrogations. The word lands heavy. Interrogation. The lobby air grows thicker. Gavin tries to recover. Pulls up the reservation screen again. Of course not. I was simply ensuring everything was in order. The presidential suite is one of our most exclusive. I'm familiar with your suites, Lenora interrupts. Her tone stays professional, perfectly calibrated, but underneath runs steel. We've been evaluating them for 3 months. The plural hits different. We. Not I. Not Mr. Valine. We. Gavin's fingers freeze over the keyboard. His mind racing now. Trying to calculate. Trying to understand what he walked into. One of Lenora's associates steps forward. Young. Black suit. Tablet in hand. Should I note any concerns in the site evaluation report? Site evaluation. Those 2 words detonate silently. Gavin's lips part. No sound comes out. His eyes dart from Lenora to Cyrus. Back to Lenora. The presidential suite reservation. The name Valine. The company evaluation. The pieces clicking into place too late. Way too late. Mr. Valine, Gavin starts. His voice softer now. Apologetic. I apologize if there was any confusion. Of course your reservation is confirmed. Let me personally escort you. Cyrus raises one hand. Small gesture. Complete authority. No need. He looks at Lenora. Cancel the site selection. The words drop like stones in still water. Gavin blinks. I'm sorry. Cyrus doesn't repeat himself. Doesn't explain. Just holds Gavin's stare. Lenora pulls out her phone. Already typing. I'll notify legal. Wait. Gavin steps around the desk. Too fast. Too desperate. Mr. Valine, please. If I offended you in any way, that was never my intention. I was simply following hotel policy. Your policy, Cyrus says quietly, suggested I couldn't afford a room I already booked. The lobby holds its breath. Your policy, Cyrus continues, assumed I was lying about who I am. Gavin opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. That's not. I would never. You offered to downgrade me to something more appropriate. Cyrus's voice stays level. No anger. Just facts. More accessible. Those were your words. Each word lands like a gavel. Gavin's face shifts through emotions too fast to name. Panic. Shame. Calculation. I didn't mean it like that. You have to understand. We serve a very specific clientele, and I was just trying to. To what? Lenora's voice cuts clean. To protect your lobby from people who don't look wealthy enough? Silence. Sharp. Heavy. A woman near the bar pulls out her phone. Angle it slightly toward the front desk. Casual. But Cyrus sees it. Gavin doesn't. I assure you, Gavin says, this is a complete misunderstanding. The Elysian Crown prides itself on inclusive hospitality. We serve guests from all backgrounds. But you don't treat them equally, Cyrus finishes. Gavin's jaw tightens. That's not fair. You walked in wearing, he stops. Too late. The sentence hanging unfinished but complete. Wearing what? The question lives in the silence. Lenora turns to her associates. Note this in the report. Cultural assessment failed. Recommend immediate removal from consideration. Please. Gavin's voice breaks slightly. Don't do this. We've invested months in this bid. The entire hotel has been preparing for. For what? Cyrus asks. For a contract with a company led by someone you just tried to kick out of your lobby? The truth sits there. Undeniable. Gavin looks around. Desperate. Searching for support. For someone to back him up. For a way to rewind the last 10 minutes. The concierge looks away. The security guard studies his shoes. The other desk staff suddenly becomes very interested in their computer screens. Nobody saves him. Because everyone saw what happened. Everyone heard the assumptions. The implications. The quiet insult dressed in corporate politeness. Mr. Valine, Gavin tries once more. I understand you're upset, but surely we can resolve this professionally. I made an error in judgment. I'll take full responsibility. But please don't let one mistake destroy a partnership that could benefit both. Both. Cyrus's eyebrow lifts. You mean benefit you? Gavin swallows. I misspoke. No. Cyrus shakes his head. You revealed exactly what you think. About me. About people who look like me. About who belongs in your presidential suite and who doesn't. The woman with the phone shifts position slightly. Still recording. Still unnoticed. Gavin's hands grip the edge of the desk. Knuckles white. What do you want from me? An apology? You have it. A formal written statement? Done. A discount on your stay? Whatever you need. I don't need anything from you, Cyrus says. I needed to see how your team treats people when they think no one important is watching. And I saw exactly what I needed to see. He turns toward the exit. Lenora and her associates follow. Mr. Valine, Gavin calls out. Louder now. Other guests definitely watching. You're making a huge mistake. Do you have any idea how much this hotel has invested in your company's bid? The renovations we've planned? The staff training? Cyrus stops. Doesn't turn around. Just speaks over his shoulder. You know what the real mistake was? Gavin waits. Frozen. You assumed wealth announces itself. That power walks in carrying Louis Vuitton luggage and wearing Armani suits. Cyrus turns his head slightly. Profile visible. But real power doesn't need to prove anything. It just watches. And decides. He takes one step toward the revolving doors. Then stops again. Looks back fully now. Meets Gavin's eyes across the marble floor. And here's what you really need to understand, Cyrus says. This wasn't an emotional reaction. This was strategic evaluation. Your competitor across the street passed the culture test yesterday. Same hoodie. Same backpack. They treated me like a guest from the moment I walked in. Shock ripples across Gavin's face. Then horror. Then the crushing weight of understanding. This wasn't random. This wasn't bad luck. This was a test. A deliberate, calculated assessment. And the Elysian crown just failed spectacularly. Cyrus pushes through the revolving doors. Gone. Lenora follows. Her associates trailing behind. The lobby stays silent for 3 full seconds. Then chaos. Quiet chaos. Professional chaos. But chaos nonetheless. Gavin stands alone at the front desk. The reservation screen still glowing. The presidential suite still vacant. The $220 million contract still disappearing into thin air. His phone buzzes. Screen lights up. Email notification. Subject line visible even from a distance. Urgent. Ardent Axis Capital Site evaluation failed. His hand shakes slightly as he picks it up. Reads the first line. Then the second. Then stops reading because it doesn't matter. The words blur together into one message. You just destroyed everything. Behind him, a junior desk associate, barely 22, dark skin, natural hair, watches it all unfold. Her name is Simone. She's been working here 6 months. Saving for grad school. Trying to ignore the way some guests look past her. The way some staff members make comments about presentation standards. She watched the entire exchange. Heard every word. Saw every judgment flash across Gavin's face. And something inside her shifts. Small. Significant. Permanent. Because she just witnessed what happens when assumptions meet consequences. When quiet prejudice meets quiet power. When someone mistakes appearance for reality and pays the full price. Gavin finally looks up from his phone. Sees Simone watching. Their eyes meet for 1 second. Then he turns away. Walks toward his office. Each step heavier than the last. The pianist starts playing again. Different song. Minor key. The lobby returns to its polished rhythm. But something changed. Something broke. Something that no amount of marble or crystal or corporate apologies can fix. And somewhere outside, on a busy Manhattan sidewalk, Cyrus Valine answers his phone. It's done, he tells someone. Move the contract to the Meridian. He hangs up. Keeps walking. Doesn't look back. Because power doesn't need the last word. It just needs the final decision. Have you ever been judged unfairly by how you looked? How did you handle it? For minutes after Cyrus walks out, Gavin's phone rings. Not buzzes. Rings. The sharp, old-fashioned tone he assigned to exactly one contact. Marcus Whitmore. CEO. The man who decides careers with a single email. Gavin's hand trembles as he answers. Marcus, I can explain. My office. Now. Click. Deadline. The walk from the front desk to the executive offices takes 90 seconds. Today it feels like 90 minutes. Every step echoes too loud. Every face he passes knows something happened. Whispers trail behind him like smoke. The elevator ride up feels like descending. Stomach dropping. Walls closing in. Marcus's office sits on the 14th floor. Corner view. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Desk bigger than most people's bedrooms. Degrees from Yale framed on the wall. Awards from hospitality associations. Photos with governors, senators, people who matter. Marcus stands at the window, hands clasped behind his back. Doesn't turn around when Gavin enters. Close the door. Gavin does. The click sounds final. Do you want to tell me what happened? Marcus asks the window. Or should I read the report from Arden Axis Capital's legal team? There was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Marcus turns now, his face carved from stone. That's what we're calling racial profiling now? A misunderstanding? The words land like punches. It wasn't like that, Gavin says. But his voice carries no conviction, because they both know what it was like. I was following protocol. Premium suites require verification. I was just. You were just what? Marcus moves to his desk, taps his keyboard. Screen lights up. Making assumptions based on a hoodie? Offering to downgrade a guest who booked the presidential suite? Suggesting he couldn't afford accommodations he already paid for? Each question hits harder than the last. I didn't know who he was, Gavin tries. If he had just identified himself. He did identify himself. Marcus's voice drops to something colder than anger. He gave you his name, his ID, his credit card, and you still questioned whether he belonged here. Silence fills the office. Heavy, suffocating. Marcus sits down, folds his hands on the desk. Do you know what Cyrus Valine is worth? Gavin doesn't answer. Can't answer. $3.7 billion. Marcus lets that number breathe. He owns 34% of the fund that controls our expansion loan, our renovation budget, our entire growth strategy for the next 5 years. And you tried to kick him out of our lobby. The number sits in Gavin's chest like a stone. 3.7 billion. Not million. Billion. But that's not even the worst part. Marcus continues. The worst part is you didn't insult a billionaire. You insulted a guest. Any guest. Because he didn't look rich enough for you. I was trying to protect the hotel's reputation. You destroyed it. Marcus opens a browser window. Turns the screen around. A video plays. Phone footage. Shaky but clear. The front desk. Gavin's voice. Something more appropriate. The angle shows Cyrus's face. Calm. Dignified. While Gavin's expression cycles through suspicion and condescension. The video has been posted 12 minutes ago. Already 43,000 views. Comments flooding in. Sharing. Retweeting. Going viral in real time. This is how luxury hotels treat black guests. Billionaire kicked out for wearing a hoodie. The Elysian Crown Hotel's true colors. Gavin's legs weaken. He grabs the chair back for support. Our PR team is in full crisis mode, Marcus says. Legal is drafting statements. The board is convening an emergency meeting. And Arden Axis Capital just sent formal notification that they're withdrawing not just from the summit contract, but from every business relationship with this hotel. Each sentence lands like a hammer. I'll apologize, Gavin says desperately. Publicly. I'll take full responsibility. Write a statement. Go on camera. Whatever it takes to fix this. Marcus studies him. Long silence. Then shakes his head. You think this is fixable? It has to be. Gavin. The name sounds like a period. An ending. You're on administrative leave effective immediately. Pending a full investigation into your conduct and any previous incidents that may have been overlooked or mishandled. The words take seconds to process. Then they hit. Full force. You're suspending me? I'm protecting this hotel from further damage. Marcus, please. I've given this place 6 years. 6 years of 80-hour weeks. Of hitting every target. Of building this operation into. Into what? Marcus stands. Into a place where guests are profiled. Where assumptions matter more than actual identity. Where prestige is measured by appearance instead of character. Gavin opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. I need your access card, Marcus says. Your company laptop. Your keys to the executive offices. The room spins slightly. This can't be happening. Not like this. Not over one mistake. One moment of bad judgment. But it is happening. Right now. In real time. Gavin pulls the items from his pockets. Sets them on the desk. Each one a small death. His career dissolving with every click. Security will escort you out, Marcus says. Don't speak to staff. Don't make statements to media. Don't contact Mr. Valine or anyone from Arden-Axis Capital. Are we clear? Gavin nods. Mechanical. Broken. He turns toward the door. Hand on the handle. One more thing, Marcus adds. Gavin stops. Do you know why this hurts so much? Marcus asks. Not cruel. Almost gentle. Because deep down, you know I'm right. You know exactly what you did. And you know you do it again to the next person who doesn't fit your image of what wealth should look like. The truth hangs in the air. Undeniable. Unfixable. Gavin walks out. Door closing behind him. The sound echoes down the hallway. 2 security guards wait outside. Professional. Quiet. They don't need to say anything. Just gesture toward the elevator. The walk back down feels different. Staff members step aside. Avert their eyes. Word travels fast in hotels. Everyone knows. Everyone sees. In the lobby, Simone watches from the front desk. Their eyes meet for a second. She doesn't look away. Doesn't offer sympathy. Just witnesses. Bears witness to consequence. Gavin exits through the revolving doors. Same doors Cyrus walked through 23 minutes ago. But where Cyrus left with dignity and power, Gavin leaves with neither. His phone buzzes. Text message. Then another. Then another. Former colleagues. Industry contacts. All seeing the video. All asking questions. All distancing themselves in real time. He stands on the sidewalk. City moving around him. Taxis honking. People rushing. Life continuing like nothing happened. But everything happened. Everything changed. Everything ended. 4 blocks away, Cyrus sits in a conference room at the Meridian Hotel. Different building. Same city. Complete opposite treatment. The manager, an older woman named Althea, brings him coffee personally. No questions about his hoodie. No assumptions about his backpack. Just warm hospitality that sees guests as people, not bank accounts. Your suite is ready whenever you are, Althea says. Genuine smile. And congratulations on choosing us for the summit. We're honored. Cyrus nods. Takes the coffee. Looks out the window at the Manhattan skyline. Somewhere out there, the Elysian crown is learning the most expensive lesson in hospitality. Respect costs nothing. But disrespect? Disrespect costs everything. His phone rings. Lenora. The board wants to formalize the contract, she says. The Meridian is confirmed as our flagship venue. 3-year agreement. They're already planning expansion to accommodate us. Good. Cyrus sips his coffee. Send them the terms we discussed. And Lenora. Yes. Make sure they know why we chose them. Not just that we did. What? Already in the memo, she confirms. Cultural integrity. Inclusive excellence. Treatment of every guest as valued, regardless of appearance or assumed status. Perfect. He hangs up. Sits back in his chair. The city sprawls below. Millions of stories. Millions of moments. Millions of chances to reveal who you really are when you think no one important is watching. But someone's always watching. And in the age of camera phones and social media and instant accountability, every moment matters. Every interaction counts. Every assumption carries consequences. Back at the Elysian crown, the video hits 100,000 views. Then 200,000. Media outlets pick it up. Think pieces get written. Industry analysts discuss cultural risk management in luxury hospitality. And in boardrooms across the country, executives pull up diversity training programs they've been ignoring for years. Not because they suddenly care, but because they suddenly fear. Fear of being the next viral video, the next canceled contract, the next cautionary tale. Marcus stands at his office window, watching the city. His phone hasn't stopped ringing. Board members demanding answers. Investors wanting reassurance. PR teams crafting statements. But no statement can fix what happened. No apology can undo what was revealed. Because this wasn't about one employee, one moment, one mistake. This was about culture, system, pattern. The 1,000 small judgments that add up to something ugly and undeniable. And now everyone knows it. The entire world is watching. What do you think would have happened if that moment wasn't recorded? Drop your thoughts below. 36 hours later, The Elysian Crown's boardroom fills with expensive suits and nervous energy. 12 directors sit around Brazilian walnut, each one representing millions in investment, each one watching their asset value drop in real time. Marcus stands at the head of the table, dark circles under his eyes. 2 days of crisis management. 2 days of watching his reputation burn. The video has been viewed 4.2 million times, he begins. No preamble. No softening. Every major hospitality publication has covered it. We're trending on 3 social platforms. And our booking cancellations have reached 18%. Numbers flash on the screen behind him. Red graphs. Downward arrows. Financial hemorrhaging in real time. How did we not see this coming? Director Chen asks. Sharp. Direct. No patience for excuses. We did, Marcus admits. The confession lands heavy. HR flagged 3 complaints about Gavin Caldwell in the past 14 months. All quietly settled. All involving guests of color receiving different treatment than white guests. The room temperature drops. You knew? Director Morrison's voice hardens. And you did nothing? We addressed each complaint individually. Counseling. Retraining. Written warnings. Marcus pulls up documents. But we treated them as isolated incidents. Personal failures. Not systemic problems. Because they weren't viral yet, Director Patterson adds. Bitter. They weren't costing us millions in lost contracts. Truth sits there. Ugly. Unavoidable. Marcus continues. Ardent Axis Capital has formally withdrawn from all current and future business relationships. The Summit contract is gone. The expansion loan is under review. And 3 other corporate clients have requested meetings to discuss their contracts. How much are we looking at? Director Chen asks. Conservative estimate? $87 million in direct revenue loss over the next 18 months. Marcus pauses. Optimistic estimate? Same number. Silence. The kind that costs more than words. What about Caldwell? Director Morrison asks. On administrative leave pending investigation. But it doesn't matter. We can't bring him back. The optics alone would destroy whatever credibility we have left. So we sacrifice 1 employee to save the hotel? Director Patterson sounds skeptical. That's the plan. No. Marcus clicks to the next slide. That's the problem. This isn't about 1 employee. This is about culture. About the assumptions we've allowed. The behaviors we've tolerated. The patterns we've ignored because they didn't hurt our bottom line. He pauses. Let's that breathe. Until they did. Director Chen leans forward. What are you proposing? Complete cultural audit. Every department. Every policy. Every complaint that was quietly settled. Everything. Marcus's voice hardens with something that sounds like determination or desperation or both. And we make it public. Full transparency. No hiding. No spin. You want to air our dirty laundry? Director Morrison looks horrified. That's insane. That's the only way forward. Marcus interrupts. Because right now, people think Gavin Caldwell is an isolated case. 1 bad employee in an otherwise perfect system. But we know better. And eventually, they'll know better too. So we get ahead of it. We own it. We fix it. The board exchanges glances. Calculating. Weighing risks. Measuring costs. And if we don't, Director Patterson asks. Marcus doesn't blink. Then we're the next company profiled in business schools as a case study in how institutional bias destroys shareholder value. The room falls quiet. That particular fear, being a cautionary tale, resonates. These are people who built empires on reputation, on perception, on the carefully maintained illusion of excellence. And right now, that illusion is burning. What about Valine? Director Chen asks. Any chance of reconciliation? Marcus shakes his head. His team was clear. The decision is final. They've moved everything to the Meridian. And honestly, I don't blame them. Did you try to? I tried everything. Marcus cuts him off. Personal apology. Corporate apology. Financial compensation. Offered to donate to charities of his choice. Offered to rename the presidential suite after him. Everything. He pauses. He didn't even respond. Because that's what power does. It doesn't negotiate with people who've already revealed their values. It just moves on. Director Morrison stands, paces to the window. How did we get here? We have diversity programs. Inclusion training. We check all the boxes. We check boxes, Marcus corrects. We didn't change behavior. We created paperwork, not culture. We built defenses against lawsuits, not commitments to dignity. The words echo in the expensive room. So what now? Director Patterson asks. Specifically, step by step. How do we fix this? Marcus pulls up a new document. Implementation timeline. Action items. Budget allocations. First, independent audit. Outside firm. Full access. No restrictions. They interview everyone. Review every complaint. Examine every policy. And they publish findings. All of them. That'll be brutal, Director Chin says. It needs to be, Marcus replies. Second, senior leadership changes. Starting with me. Shock ripples through the room. You're resigning? Director Morrison sounds stunned. I'm stepping down as CEO, staying on as advisor through the transition. But new leadership needs to own this transformation. I'm part of the problem. I can't be the solution. Respect flickers across several faces. Fear across others. Third, Marcus continues. We implement anonymous executive audits. No notice. No preparation. Random evaluations of how staff treat guests at every level. Test culture in real time. Like what Valine did, Director Patterson says quietly. Exactly like what Valine did. Because clearly, our internal assessments aren't catching what they need to catch. Director Chin nods slowly. It's expensive. It's risky. But it's smart. Fourth, we establish a culture integrity board. Independent oversight. Quarterly reporting. Power to override executive decisions that compromise our values. And we make sure it includes voices from communities we've historically failed. The proposals keep coming. Each one more substantial than the last. Each one costing money, time, ego, comfort. But the alternative costs more. Costs everything. When does this start? Director Morrison asks. It already has, Marcus says. The audit team arrives tomorrow morning. The public announcement goes out this afternoon, and the first board member meetings with community organizations are scheduled for next week. He closes his laptop, looks around the table. I know this feels like punishment, like we're being forced to grovel, but that's privilege talking. What we're actually being forced to do is treat people with basic dignity. And if that feels like punishment, then we've been doing it wrong for a very long time. The room sits with that. Uncomfortable. True. Director Chin stands. Extends his hand. For what it's worth, you're handling this better than most would. Marcus shakes it. I'm handling it the only way I can. With honesty. And hope that it's not too late. But in his mind, he knows the truth. It is too late. Too late to save the contract. Too late to save Gavin's career. Too late to save the hotel's reputation. The only question now is whether they can build something better from the ashes. 3 floors below, Simone sits at the front desk, working her shift, greeting guests with the same professional smile she always has. But something's different. She holds herself differently, speaks with more confidence, because she witnessed consequences, real consequences, not just words or policies or training videos. She saw power respond to disrespect. She saw accountability happen in real time. And she saw that assumptions, no matter how quiet, how polite, how wrapped in professionalism, carry weight. And sometimes, that weight crushes everything. A man approaches the desk. White, middle-aged, business casual, travel bag on his shoulder. Checking in, he says. Then adds, nice to see things are changing around here. Simone looks at him. Curious. He gestures vaguely. The news. The video. The, situation. Good to see accountability. She nods. Professional. We're committed to serving all guests with excellence. As you should be. He leans on the counter slightly. Comfortable. Familiar. You know, I've always thought this place was too stuffy anyway. Too much focus on the wrong things. Simone processes his reservation. Hands him a key card. Enjoy your stay. He walks away, feeling good about himself, feeling progressive, feeling like an ally. But Simone knows the truth, knows that people feel good about condemning obvious racism while missing their own subtle judgments, their own assumptions, their own comfort with systems that benefit them. Because the video was easy to condemn, Gavin was easy to blame. The Elysian crown was easy to criticize. But examining your own biases, confronting your own comfort, actually changing your behavior instead of just your statements, that's harder. That takes work. And most people won't do the work until they're forced to. Until they become the viral video, the canceled contract, the cautionary tale. Until consequence finds them at 4:12 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, walking through their own revolving doors, wearing their own assumptions like expensive suits. Outside, the city moves on. Life continues. New stories develop. New dramas unfold. But somewhere in Manhattan, the Meridian Hotel is preparing for the biggest corporate summit in its history. Expanding facilities, training staff, building partnerships. All because they did one thing right. They saw a guest in a hoodie, and they treated him like a guest. If you ran a business, what's one thing you'd do differently after hearing this story? 8 days after the video goes viral, Gavin sits in a corporate attorney's office. Small room, cheap furniture, nothing like the offices he used to occupy. The fall from regional operations director to unemployed happened fast. Brutal. Public. His lawyer, a tired woman named Patricia who's handled a dozen similar cases, sits across from him. Stack of papers between them. Settlement offer from the Elysian crown. They're willing to give you 6 months severance, Patricia says. Flat. Professional. Plus continuation of health benefits for 1 year. In exchange, you sign a non-disclosure agreement. No media interviews. No social media statements. No public discussion of your employment or termination. Gavin stares at the papers. 6 months. After 6 years. After 80-hour weeks and sacrificed weekends and climbing every ladder they put in front of him. What if I don't sign? Patricia looks at him over her glasses. Then they release the full investigation report. Every complaint filed against you. Every witness statement. Every piece of evidence showing a pattern of discriminatory behavior. And it all becomes public record. The room feels smaller. That's blackmail, Gavin says. That's leverage, Patricia corrects. And legally, they're within their rights. You were employed at will. The investigation documented multiple policy violations. They could fire you with nothing. This is them being generous. Generous. The word tastes bitter. I want to fight this, Gavin says. I want to tell my side. Explain what really happened. Patricia sets down her pen. Gavin, I'm going to be honest with you. What's your side? That you assumed a black man in a hoodie couldn't afford the presidential suite? That you offered to downgrade him to something more appropriate? That you questioned his identity even after he provided valid ID and payment? Each question lands like a slap. I was doing my job, Gavin insists. Following procedures. Protecting the hotel's standards. And how did those standards apply to white guests? Patricia pulls out a document. The investigation found 17 instances in the past year where white guests dressed casually were checked into premium suites without additional verification. But 6 instances where black or brown guests faced extra scrutiny. Can you explain that? Gavin's mouth opens. Closes. No explanation comes. Because the pattern speaks for itself. My advice. Patricia continues. Take the settlement. Sign the NDA. Move on quietly. Because if this goes public, if you try to fight it, you won't just lose your career in hospitality. You'll lose your career everywhere. The truth sits heavy. Final. Undeniable. Gavin picks up the pen. Hand shaking slightly. Hovers over the signature line. I'm not a racist, he says. Quiet. Almost to himself. Patricia doesn't respond. Because that statement doesn't matter. Intent doesn't erase impact. Good people can still do harmful things. Can still carry biases. Can still make assumptions that hurt others. And the video proved it. 4 million views of proof. Gavin signs. 3 places. Initials 2 more. Each mark a small death. His career. His reputation. His sense of who he thought he was. Patricia collects the papers. Slides them into a folder. I'll file these today. Your severance will process within 10 business days. That's it. Gavin asks. That's how it ends. That's how it ends. She stands. Extends her hand. Professional. Clinical. Good luck, Gavin. I mean that. But he hears what she doesn't say. You'll need it. He walks out into afternoon sunlight. City noise. Normal life. Except his life isn't normal anymore. Can't be normal anymore. Because the internet remembers. Google remembers. Every future employer who searches his name will find the video. The articles. The discussions. The label. That hotel manager who racially profiled a billionaire. That's his legacy now. Not 6 years of successful operations. Not hitting targets. Not climbing ladders. Just one 10-minute interaction captured on video. Shared. Judged. Immortalized. He pulls out his phone. Messages from former colleagues stopped coming after day 3. LinkedIn connection requests turned into LinkedIn disconnections. His professional network evaporated like morning dew. One new email. Subject line, job opportunity. Hope sparks. Brief. Desperate. He opens it. Not a job offer. A request for interview. Local news station wants his perspective on workplace discrimination. Wants him to explain his side. Paint himself as a victim of cancel culture. Gavin's finger hovers over reply. Tempted. So tempted. But Patricia's words echo. Public fight means public exposure. Public exposure means more scrutiny. More investigations. More evidence of patterns he can't explain away. He deletes the email. Keeps walking. 3 blocks away, inside the Elysian Crown, Simone stands in Marcus's office. Different circumstances. Different conversation. Completely different outcome. You handled the situation professionally, Marcus says. Multiple witnesses confirmed you wanted to intervene, but understood the chain of command prevented it. Simone nods. Quiet. Still processing everything that happened. How long have you been with us? Marcus asks. 6 months. And you're studying for your MBA? Yes, sir. Hospitality management focus. Marcus considers this. We're making changes. Big changes. New leadership structure. New cultural accountability standards. And we need people who understand what true hospitality means. Who see guests as people, not walking bank accounts. He slides a document across the desk. Job offer. Assistant guest relations manager. 40% salary increase. Full tuition reimbursement for her graduate program. Simone stares at the paper. Doesn't touch it. Doesn't breathe. You saw what happened. Marcus continues. You witnessed the failure. And you maintained your integrity even when your supervisor didn't. That matters. That's the kind of leadership we need. She looks up. Why me? Because you already know what took me 6 years and $87 million to learn. That dignity isn't a perk of luxury. It's the foundation of it. Simone picks up the document. Reads it carefully. Every line. Every detail. Making sure it's real. Making sure this isn't some elaborate apology tour designed to improve optics. But the offer is real. Concrete. Substantial. When do I start? She asks. Monday. Marcus stands. Extends his hand. Welcome to leadership. They shake. Firm. Professional. A beginning built on someone else's ending. Because that's how change works. Not through grand gestures or inspiring speeches. Through small moments. Daily decisions. Who gets promoted? Who gets protected? Who gets held accountable when they cause harm? Simone walks back to the lobby. Different posture. Different energy. Not because of the promotion. Because of what it represents. Proof that systems can change. That consequences can be real. That doing the right thing sometimes gets rewarded instead of punished. Sometimes. Not always. But sometimes. And sometimes is better than never. Later that evening, Cyrus sits in his office overlooking Lower Manhattan. Glass walls. City lights. The kind of view that costs more than most people earn in a year. Lenora enters. Tablet in hand. The Meridian contract is finalized. 3-year commitment with options for extension. They're already breaking ground on the expansion. Good. Cyrus doesn't look away from the window. And the Elysian Crown? Stock dropped 12%. Board replaced the CEO. They're implementing everything we suggested in the initial audit 3 months ago. The audit they said was unnecessary. Cyrus allows himself a small smile. Funny how necessity changes when consequences arrive. Lenora sits, studies him. You knew this would happen. The whole test. The recording. The viral response. You calculated all of it. Not calculated. Cyrus finally turns. Assessed. There's a difference. I wanted to know how they treated people who looked powerless. That's the real test of character. How you behave when you think consequences don't exist. And if there hadn't been a video? Lenora asks. If no one recorded it. Then I would have recorded it myself. Cyrus gestures to his phone. Power isn't just about having resources. It's about using them strategically. That video cost the Elysian crown $87 million. But it sent a message to every luxury establishment in the country. Assumptions are expensive. Dignity is non-negotiable. And you never know who's testing you. Lenora nods slowly. You created accountability where none existed. I created consequences where none existed. Cyrus corrects. Accountability is just the aftermath. The real work is changing behavior. Making people understand that treating others with respect isn't charity. It's requirement. He stands, walks to the window. City sprawling below. Millions of interactions happening. Millions of small judgments being made. Millions of opportunities to reveal character. What happened to Caldwell? Cyrus asks. Signed an NDA. Took severance. Career in hospitality is finished. Good. No sympathy in Cyrus's voice. Just acknowledgement. Some lessons can't be taught gently. Sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what you should have valued all along. Lenora closes her tablet. The Meridian's GM wants to thank you personally. For choosing them. For the partnership. Tell Althea she doesn't need to thank me. She just needs to keep doing what she did that day. Seeing guests. Really seeing them. Not their clothes or their luggage or their skin color. Just seeing human beings who deserve respect. Silence fills the office. Comfortable. Earned. You changed an entire industry, Lenora says quietly. One hotel. One video. One consequence. And now everyone's watching everyone else. Scared of being next. Cyrus turns back to her. Fear isn't the goal. Understanding is. But if fear is what gets people to treat others with dignity while they develop that understanding, then fear works. He walks to his desk, picks up his hoodie from the back of his chair. The same navy hoodie. Still faded. Still Target bought. Still powerful in its simplicity. You wearing that tomorrow? Lenora asks. Every day, Cyrus says. Because the test never ends. And somewhere, right now, someone is judging someone else based on appearance. Making assumptions. Revealing values. And maybe, just maybe, they'll remember the video. Remember the consequence. And choose differently. He pulls on the hoodie. Grabs his backpack. Where to now? Lenora asks. Chicago. Another hotel evaluation. Different city. Same test. They don't know you're coming? Cyrus smiles. They never do. He walks toward the elevator. Past awards. Past achievements. Past all the markers of success that don't matter nearly as much as how you treat people when you think no one important is watching. Because someone's always watching. And in the age of phones and cameras and instant exposure, every moment is a test. Every interaction matters. Every assumption carries weight. The elevator doors close. Manhattan glows outside the windows. Bright. Busy. Indifferent. But somewhere in that city, someone just learned an expensive lesson. Someone just faced real consequences. Someone just discovered that dignity isn't negotiable. And tomorrow, when the doors of another hotel spin open, they'll think twice before judging the person walking through them. Not because they suddenly became better people, but because they suddenly understood the cost of being worse once. What's the most important lesson you're taking from this story? Let me know in the comments. The clip hits Twitter at 11:47 p.m. 32 seconds. Phone footage. Shaky but clear enough. Gavin's voice cutting through marble and crystal. Something more appropriate. Cyrus standing there. Calm. Dignified. While judgment plays across Gavin's face like a movie no one asked to see. By midnight, 15,000 views. By 2 a.m., 200,000. By sunrise, the number stops meaning anything because it's everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, even Reddit threads dissecting every frame. The caption writes itself in a dozen different versions, but they all say the same thing. This is how the Elysian Crown treats black guests. Jamal Rodriguez sees it at 6:15 a.m. He's sitting in his Brooklyn apartment, coffee going cold, scrolling through his phone before work. He's a tech consultant, makes decent money, stays at nice hotels when clients fly him out for projects. He's also been to the Elysian Crown twice. Both times, he got extra questions at check-in. Both times, staff watched him a little closer in the lobby. Both times, he told himself he was imagining things. Now he knows he wasn't. He shares the video, adds his own story. 3 paragraphs. Matter of fact. No anger. Just facts. What happened? How it felt. Why he won't go back. Within an hour, 40 people comment with similar experiences. Different hotels. Same pattern. The thread grows. Spreads. Becomes something bigger than one video. Becomes proof of what people already knew but couldn't prove. By 9 a.m., 3 major news outlets pick it up. By noon, it's trending number 2 nationwide. By 2 p.m., the Elysian Crown's corporate office is drowning in calls. The receptionist, a young woman named Keisha who's worked there 8 months, transfers call after call to PR. Her headset never stops buzzing. Angry customers, concerned partners, reporters wanting statements. Elysian Crown Corporate, how may I direct your call? I'd like to cancel my upcoming reservation and get a full refund. Transfer. Next call. Elysian Crown Corporate, how may I direct your call? I'm writing an article about discriminatory practices in luxury hospitality, and I'd like a comment. Transfer. Next call. Elysian Crown Corporate, how may I direct your call? I stayed at your hotel last year and experienced similar treatment. I want to file a formal complaint. Transfer. 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 Each call another crack in the foundation. Each message another piece of evidence. Each share another witness to something the company wanted to handle quietly. But quiet died the moment that video went live. In the PR department, Director of Communications Rachel Winters stares at her screen. 23 media requests in her inbox. 15 voicemails. Her team of 4 looks at her like she has answers. She doesn't. We need a statement, her assistant says. Jeremy, fresh out of Syracuse. First real crisis. He looks terrified. We need more than a statement, Rachel mutters. She pulls up the video again. Watches it for the 8th time. Each viewing worse than the last because she knows there's no spinning this. No softening. No corporate language that makes this okay. What do we say? Jeremy asks. Rachel types. Deletes. Types again. Every word matters. Every phrase will be analyzed. Picked apart. Quoted back at them. She settles on something. Reads it aloud. The Elysian Crown is aware of the incident involving one of our staff members and a guest. We take all concerns about discriminatory treatment seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation. We are committed to providing exceptional service to all guests regardless of race, background, or appearance. This incident does not reflect our values or the standards we hold ourselves to. Jeremy nods. That's good. Professional. Balanced. It's garbage, Rachel says. Honest. Tired. It's every corporate non-apology ever written. It admits nothing. Promises nothing. Changes nothing. Then what should we say? Rachel closes her laptop. The truth. That we failed. That this isn't the first time. That we're sorry. Actually sorry. Not sorry we got caught sorry. Legal will never approve that. I know. Rachel stands. Grabs her bag. Send the statement to Marcus for approval. I'm going home. It's 2 in the afternoon. I'm aware. She walks toward the door. Stops. Turns back. Jeremy, you ever been judged before you even opened your mouth? Before anyone knew your name or your job or anything about you except what you looked like? Jeremy shakes his head. Then you don't understand what that video really shows. Rachel walks out. 3 floors down. In legal, attorneys huddle around a conference table. Laptops open. Documents scattered. Coffee going cold in paper cups. Senior counsel Thomas Brennan leads the discussion. Gray hair. Expensive suit. 30 years of corporate damage control. He's seen scandals. Lawsuits. PR nightmares. But this feels different. What's our exposure? He asks. Junior associate Maya Chin pulls up a spreadsheet. We settled 6 complaints in the past 3 years involving similar allegations. Total payout, $400,000. All with NDAs. Thomas's jaw tightens. Similar how? Guests of color receiving different treatment than white guests. Extra verification. Increased scrutiny. Suggestions to downgrade rooms. Maya's voice stays professional, but her eyes show something else. Recognition. Personal connection to what she's describing. Were any of these complaints against Caldwell specifically? 3 of them. Silence drops heavy. And we kept him on staff? Thomas asks. He went through sensitivity training after each incident. Written warnings. Performance improvement plans. Maya reads from files. His supervisor noted that he consistently hit revenue targets and maintained high guest satisfaction scores. From white guests, another attorney adds. David, mid-30s, usually quiet. The satisfaction surveys were overwhelmingly from white guests. We didn't track satisfaction by demographic. Thomas rubs his temples. Of course we didn't. There's more, Maya says. Hesitant. I pulled internal communications. There are emails from housekeeping staff, front desk associates, and concierge team members flagging concerns about Caldwell's behavior toward black and brown guests. None of them resulted in formal complaints because staff were told to handle it internally. Meaning what? Meaning they were told not to escalate, to smooth things over, to keep it quiet. The room temperature drops 10 degrees. Thomas stands, walks to the window. The city stretches below. Busy, indifferent, moving forward while his company drowns. If this goes to litigation, he says, we lose. Not maybe, not probably. We lose. Because there's a pattern, documentation, video evidence, and now, social media making sure everyone knows it. Recommendation? David asks. Thomas turns back. Settle fast. Settle generously. And pray that Cyrus Valine doesn't decide to make an example out of us beyond what he's already done. He canceled the contract, Maya points out. That's already $87 million in lost revenue. What more could he do? Thomas's phone buzzes. Email notification. Subject line, Ardent Axis Capital, formal complaint filing. He opens it. Reads 3 lines. Closes his eyes. He could file a federal discrimination complaint, Thomas says, which he just did, on behalf of himself and any other guests who experienced similar treatment at our properties nationwide. The room goes silent. The kind of silence that precedes earthquakes. Nationwide. Maya's voice barely whispers. He's alleging systematic discrimination across all Elysian Crown properties, requesting full audit of complaint records, staffing decisions, and guest treatment protocols. Thomas sets his phone down, and he's requesting the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division investigate. David's face goes pale. That's career ending. That's company ending, Thomas corrects. Hotels survive PR crises. They don't survive federal discrimination investigations. His phone rings. Marcus's name on the screen. Thomas answers. I saw the filing. Emergency board meeting. 20 minutes. Everyone needs to be there. Marcus sounds like he aged 10 years overnight. Bring everything. Every complaint. Every settlement. Every piece of evidence that shows what we've been ignoring. Marcus, if we disclose everything, we're already destroyed, Marcus interrupts. The only question is whether we own it or let it own us. The line goes dead. Thomas looks at his team. Box up every file related to guest complaints in the past 5 years. Every email. Every settlement. Every performance review. All of it. That's thousands of documents, Maya says. Then we better start now. They scatter, pulling files, printing emails, building evidence of their own failure. Each document another nail. Each complaint another witness to patterns they chose not to see. Outside, the video keeps spreading, keeps growing, keeps exposing. A manager in Los Angeles sees it. remembers his own assumptions, sends new training requirements to his team. A hotel owner in Miami sees it, schedules diversity audits, promises accountability. A front desk supervisor in Atlanta sees it, quits, because she's been fighting these battles for 3 years and finally has proof she wasn't crazy. The video becomes more than evidence. It becomes catalyst, conversation, proof that what people experience privately happens publicly, that what feels personal is actually systemic, that assumptions cost real money and real careers and real dignity. By 5 p.m., major hospitality industry publications publish think pieces. The true cost of implicit bias in luxury hotels. When prestige becomes prejudice. The Elysian Crown case. Why cultural competence matters. By 7 p.m., competitors quietly review their own policies. Not from goodness, from fear. Fear of being next. Fear of going viral. Fear of losing contracts and credibility and everything they built on the assumption that appearances equal reality. By 9 p.m., the video hits 5 million views. And in a quiet office in Lower Manhattan, Cyrus Valine watches the number climb. Lenora sits across from him. The federal complaint was extreme. We could have just walked away. Walking away changes nothing, Cyrus says. Fear changes everything. Not fear of me. Fear of consequence. Fear that assumptions cost more than they're worth. You're teaching an entire industry a lesson. I'm creating accountability where none existed. Cyrus closes his laptop. Because that video, that wasn't an isolated incident. That was Tuesday afternoon. That happens every day to people without resources, without platforms, without the ability to make it cost something. So you made it cost everything. I made it cost enough that next time they think twice. Cyrus stands, walks to the window. His reflection stares back at him. Navy hoodie, regular person, extraordinary power deployed strategically. What happens now? Lenora asks. Cyrus's phone buzzes. Text message. Unknown number. Thank you. I experienced the same thing at that hotel 2 years ago. Couldn't prove it. Couldn't fight it. Just had to accept it. Thank you for fighting back. He shows Lenora the message. She reads it. Nods slowly. That's what happens now, Cyrus says. People know they weren't imagining it. Know they weren't being sensitive. Know that what they experienced was real. And maybe, just maybe, they'll speak up next time instead of staying quiet. Another message arrives. Then another. Then dozens. Stories. Experiences. Gratitude. Anger. Relief. The video exposed one hotel, but it validated thousands of experiences. And validation matters. Recognition matters. Knowing you weren't wrong matters more than any settlement or apology ever could. Have you ever stayed quiet about unfair treatment because you thought no one would believe you? What would it take for you to speak up? The boardroom fills at 6:47 a.m. Not regular business hours. Emergency hours. Crisis hours. The kind of meeting that determines whether companies survive or become cautionary tales in business school textbooks. 12 directors. Marcus. Legal team. PR. HR. Outside counsel brought in overnight. Everyone looks exhausted. Terrified. Aware that the next 2 hours will define careers. Marcus stands at the head of the table. No presentation. No PowerPoint. Just stacks of paper. Files. Printed emails. Evidence of everything they ignored. Before we begin, Marcus says, I need everyone to understand the scope. This isn't about one employee, one video, one incident. This is about culture, system, pattern. He drops the first file on the table. Thick, organized with colored tabs. Guest complaints involving discriminatory treatment. Past 5 years. 47 total. 18 involving Black guests. 12 involving Latino guests. 9 involving Asian guests. 8 involving Middle Eastern guests. The numbers land heavy. Undeniable. Director Morrison picks up the file. Flips through pages. His face changes with each one. These were all settled quietly? All of them, Marcus confirms. Average payout, $35,000. Total cost, $1.6 million. None made public. All signed NDAs. Who approved these settlements? Director Chen asks. I did. Marcus's voice doesn't waver. Legal recommended settlement over litigation. HR documented the complaints. I signed off on making them disappear. Respect flickers across some faces. Accountability looks different when it costs something personal. Marcus drops the second file. Even thicker. Internal staff complaints about management behavior. Past 3 years. 81 complaints involving allegations of racial bias, discrimination, or hostile work environment. 62 dismissed as unsubstantiated. 19 resulted in verbal warnings. 0 resulted in terminations. Maya from Legal speaks up. That's an 85% dismissal rate. Industry average is around 40%. Meaning what? Director Patterson asks. Meaning we weren't investigating complaints, Maya says. We were burying them. Director Morrison's jaw tightens. Why didn't anyone escalate this? People tried. Marcus picks up printed emails. Starts reading. Concerned about consistent pattern of guest complaints against same supervisor. That's from Keisha in front desk operations. Sent to her manager. Response, handle it at your level. No follow-up. He pulls another email. Multiple staff members report feeling uncomfortable with how certain guests are treated differently based on appearance. From Terrence in housekeeping. Sent to HR. Response, we take all concerns seriously but need specific examples with dates and documentation. No support provided for gathering that documentation. Complaint dies. He keeps going. Email after email. Complaint after complaint. Each one brushed aside. Minimized. Buried under corporate process designed to protect the company instead of address problems. How did this happen? Director Chen asks. Not accusatory. Genuinely trying to understand. We have policies. Training. Oversight. We have paperwork. Marcus corrects. Not accountability. We created systems that looked good on paper but functioned as obstacles in practice. Anyone who wanted to file a complaint faced so much bureaucracy, so many requirements, so much burden of proof that most people just stopped trying. Thomas from Legal adds to this. And when complaints did surface with enough evidence to require action, we settled. Quietly. With NDAs that prevented patterns from being visible. Each incident appeared isolated because we designed the system to keep them isolated. The room sits with this. Uncomfortable. True. Impossible to deny. Director Patterson leans forward. What's the federal complaint alleging specifically? Thomas pulls up the document on the screen. Legal language. Dense. Devastating. Pattern and practice of discrimination based on race. Hostile environment for guests and staff of color. Systemic failure to address complaints. Retaliation against employees who reported concerns. Violation of federal civil rights laws. He pauses. And they're requesting full audit of every Elysian Crown property nationwide. How many properties? Director Morrison asks. 32. Thomas lets that breathe. 32 locations. Potentially thousands of guest interactions. Hundreds of employee complaints. All subject to federal review. The weight of that crushes the room. What's our best case scenario? Director Chen asks. Consent decree. We admit wrongdoing. Agree to federal oversight for 5 to 10 years. Implement mandated reforms. Regular audits. Public reporting. Fines probably in the 8-figure range. Thomas pulls up similar cases. Worst case? Criminal charges if evidence shows deliberate suppression of complaints. Company-wide restructuring. Potential bankruptcy from combined litigation, fines, and loss of business. Silence. The kind that precedes surrender. Recommendations? Marcus asks. Thomas looks at Maya. She takes over. Confident. Clear. Like she's been waiting for this moment. Full cooperation. No fight. No defense. No spin. Maya's voice carries authority beyond her years. We open every file. Provide every document. Bring in independent auditors. Create external oversight board with power to override management decisions. And we do it publicly. Announce it ourselves. Own the failure before it owns us. That's career suicide, someone mutters. That's survival, Maya counters. Because the alternative is watching this company burn while we pretend we don't smell smoke. Marcus nods. What else? Senior leadership changes. Starting at the top. Maya looks at Marcus. Respectful but firm. No offense, but the executive team that allowed this can't be the team that fixes it. Optics matter. Credibility matters. New leadership signals real change, not cosmetic adjustments. Marcus doesn't flinch. Agreed. I already informed the board I'm stepping down. Who else? Maya pulls up an organizational chart. Mark's name's in red. VP of Operations. Director of Human Resources. Regional managers at 4 properties with highest complaint rates. All need to be replaced. That's half the executive team, Director Patterson says. That's what accountability looks like, Maya responds. You can't fix culture by keeping the people who created it. Director Morrison speaks up, his voice quiet, thoughtful. What about the employees who tried to report issues? The ones who were dismissed or ignored? Reach out directly, Maya says. Apologize personally. Offer compensation for retaliation. Provide opportunities for advancement if they're still with the company. Make it clear we failed them. And if they've left, then we track them down and apologize anyway. Not for optics. Because it's right. The room shifts. Something changing. Not just strategy. Actual recognition of harm caused. Actual willingness to face it. Thomas adds one more thing. Anonymous whistleblower hotline. Managed by external firm. No retaliation. Direct reporting to the new oversight board. Make it clear that silence is no longer protection. Speaking up is. Marcus makes notes. Plans forming. Actions taking shape. Timeline, he asks. Announcement by end of business today, Thomas says. Independent audit firm hired by Monday. New oversight board established within 30 days. Senior leadership transitions within 60 days. Full report to Department of Justice within 90 days. That's fast. That's necessary. Thomas pulls up news coverage. The video's still spreading. New stories emerging. More guests sharing experiences. Every hour we wait is another hour of damage. Another guest cancellation. Another partner questioning whether to continue business with us. Marcus looks around the table. Vote. All in favor of full cooperation, public disclosure, and leadership restructuring. 12 hands rise. Unanimous. Not because they want to. Because they have to. Then it's decided. Marcus closes his laptop. PR, draft the announcement. Legal, contact federal investigators. HR, begin transition planning. We move fast. We move honest. We move with the understanding that we should have done this years ago. The meeting breaks. People scatter. Phone calls. Emails. Crisis management at full speed. Maya stays behind. Approaches Marcus. I have something else, she says. Quiet. Confidential. Marcus waits. 3 employees came to me yesterday. After the video went viral, they documented their own experiences being instructed to treat guests differently based on race. Emails from supervisors. Text messages. Training materials that used coded language about clientele standards and brand protection. Marcus's face goes gray. How explicit? Explicit enough. Maya hands him a folder. They want immunity in exchange for testimony. They're scared, but they're also angry. Tired of carrying secrets. Tired of being complicit. Marcus opens the folder. Reads 3 pages. Closes it. Give them immunity. Give them protection. And tell them we're sorry they were put in that position. They might sue anyway. Let them. Marcus stands. Looks out at the city. We deserve whatever comes. The only question is whether we face it with integrity or cowardice. He walks toward the door. Stops. Turns back. Maya, you're 31 years old. How long have you been trying to get someone to listen to these concerns? She doesn't answer immediately. Then, quietly. Since I started here 4 years ago. And we ignored you. You didn't see the pattern. No. Marcus shakes his head. We saw it. We just didn't want to believe it. Because believing it meant admitting we built something broken. That we profited from something harmful. That we were complicit in something we claimed to stand against. He leaves. The door closes. Maya stands alone in the boardroom. Stacks of evidence surrounding her. Proof that speaking up eventually matters. That truth eventually surfaces. That justice delayed isn't always justice denied. Just justice earned at terrible cost. Her phone buzzes. Message from Simone, the front desk associate who witnessed everything. Is it true? Are they really making changes? Maya replies. Real changes. Finally. I'll keep you updated. 3 dots appear. Then, thank you for not giving up. Maya stares at the message. For years of fighting. For years of being dismissed. For years of watching problems grow while solutions got buried. And now, finally, consequence forced what conscience couldn't. Outside the window, the city moves forward. Indifferent to corporate drama. Indifferent to justice delayed. Just moving. Always moving. But inside the Elysian crown, something shifts. Something breaks. Something begins. Not redemption. Not yet. Just accountability. Recognition. The first painful steps toward becoming something better than what they were. What would you do if you knew your company was doing something wrong, but nobody listened when you tried to speak up? Gavin's phone rings at 7:32 a.m. Unknown number. He almost doesn't answer. Almost lets it go to voicemail like every other call since the video destroyed his life. But something makes him pick up. Gavin Caldwell. Professional voice. Female. Unfamiliar. Yeah. This is Monica Lewis. I'm Chief Transformation Officer at the Elysian Crown. Do you have time to talk? His stomach drops. I signed an NDA. I can't. This isn't about the NDA. This is about accountability. Monica's voice softened slightly. Cyrus Valeen's team requested a meeting. He wants to speak with you directly. The world tilts. Why? Gavin asks. He didn't say. Just requested that we facilitate. You're not obligated to attend. But the invitation is genuine. Gavin sits down. Brain racing. Heart pounding. When? This afternoon. 2 p.m. Neutral location. Attorney present if you want one. And if I say no? Then you say no? This isn't a summons. It's an opportunity. Opportunity for what? Gavin thinks. Public humiliation? Forcing an apology on camera? Another viral moment where he plays villain again? I'll think about it, Gavin says. Fair. I'll text you the address. Let me know by noon. Monica hangs up. Gavin stares at his phone. The same phone that shows the video every time he searches his name. The same phone that carries death threats and job rejections and messages from people calling him every name imaginable. He should say no. Walk away. Move on. Start over somewhere new where nobody knows his face. But curiosity wins. Or maybe it's something else. Something that wants to understand what happened. Why it happened. How it went so wrong so fast. He texts Monica at 11:47 a.m. I'll be there. At 1:52 p.m., Gavin walks into a conference room at a downtown law office. Neutral territory. Gray walls. Long table. Water bottles. No cameras. No audience. Just privacy. Cyrus sits at one end. Navy hoodie. Same one from the video. Deliberate choice. Message clear without words. Lenora sits beside him. Tablet ready. Professional. Observant. Monica from the Elysian Crown sits across from them. Neutral facilitator. Here to keep things civil. Gavin's attorney, Patricia, sits beside him. Present but quiet. Witness more than participant. Silence fills the room. Heavy. Tense. Waiting for someone to begin. Cyrus speaks first. Thank you for coming. Gavin nods. Can't quite meet his eyes. Shame weighs different when you're face to face with it. I want to understand something, Cyrus continues. Voice calm. Not angry. Just direct. That day at the hotel. Walk me through your thinking. What made you assume I didn't belong in the presidential suite? The question lands clean. No accusation. Just genuine curiosity about the process. The calculations. The assumptions. Gavin swallows. Tries to find words. I saw the hoodie. The backpack. The casual appearance. And I made a judgment call based on experience. What experience? We've had situations before. People booking rooms they couldn't actually afford. Fraudulent cards. Stolen identities. Part of my job was protecting the hotel from those situations. And you thought I was one of those situations? Gavin shifts in his seat. I thought there was a possibility. Based on what? Cyrus leans forward slightly. My appearance? Based on the reservation. High-value suite. Single guest. No corporate account. No history with us. Gavin's voice gains slight confidence. Defending his process. His logic. I was following protocols. Did you follow those same protocols with white guests? Cyrus asks. The question hangs. Gavin knows the answer. The investigation documented 17 cases where white guests in casual clothes sailed through check-in while black and brown guests faced scrutiny. Sometimes, Gavin says. Weak. Unconvincing. Sometimes. Cyrus repeats the word. Lets it breathe. But not consistently. Not the way you did with me. Gavin looks down. I made a mistake. No. Cyrus's voice sharpens slightly. Mistakes are accidental. What you did was calculated. Intentional. Based on assumptions you didn't even realize you were making. I'm not racist, Gavin says. Defensive. The same line he told his attorney. The same line that doesn't matter because impact exceeds intent. I didn't say you were. Cyrus sits back. But that's the problem. You think racism requires hatred. Requires conscious malice. Requires burning crosses and slurs. But most discrimination is quiet. Polite. Wrapped in professionalism and procedure. It's the extra question. The longer verification. The suggestion that maybe you belong somewhere else. Gavin's jaw tightens. You don't understand the pressure. The standards. The expectations of running a luxury property. I understand perfectly. Cyrus's voice stays level. I own luxury properties. Manage high-end operations. Serve wealthy clients. And somehow, my teams do it without profiling people based on appearance. The comparison stings. True. Undeniable. Then what do you want from me? Gavin asks. Frustrated. Cornered. I lost my job. My reputation. My career. I signed an NDA. Took the settlement. What more do you want? Cyrus doesn't answer immediately. Just studies Gavin. Reading him. Assessing. I want you to understand what you cost people, Cyrus finally says. Not money. Not contracts. Dignity. You cost people their dignity. Made them feel unwelcome in spaces they had every right to occupy. Made them question themselves instead of questioning your judgment. Gavin opens his mouth. Closes it. No defense comes. I want you to sit with that, Cyrus continues. Really sit with it. Not because I'm punishing you, but because understanding is the only path forward. For you. For anyone watching this situation wondering if they're the problem when systems are. The room goes quiet. Patricia shifts beside Gavin. Monica takes notes. Lenora observes. Can I ask you something? Gavin says after a moment. Cyrus nods. The test. The hoodie. The whole setup. Was any of it real? Or was it all designed to catch me failing? It was completely real, Cyrus says. I needed a hotel for a summit. I needed to assess culture. I needed to see how your team treated people who didn't announce their wealth. You could have passed. Could have treated me with basic courtesy. Could have seen a guest instead of a threat. But you knew I'd fail. I suspected patterns existed. Your job was proving me wrong. Instead, you proved me right. Gavin's hands gripped the edge of the table. You destroyed my life over a 10-minute interaction. No. Cyrus's voice hardens. You destroyed your career with years of behavior that added up to that 10-minute interaction. I just made it visible. Made it cost something. Made it impossible to ignore. The truth sits between them. Heavy. Final. What happens now? Gavin asks. That's up to you, Cyrus says. You can spend the rest of your life being angry, feeling victimized, blaming cancel culture or media or me. Or you can actually learn something. Actually change. Actually become someone who sees people instead of stereotypes. And if I do that, then maybe in 5 years, 10 years, you'll tell a different story. About the time you failed. The time you faced consequences. The time you chose to grow instead of staying defensive. Cyrus stands, preparing to leave. But that's your decision. Your journey. I can't force growth. I can only create conditions where growth becomes necessary. He walks toward the door. Lenora following. Gavin calls out. Would you have questioned me if I looked different? Cyrus stops. Doesn't turn around. The question hangs there. The same question Cyrus asked him. Full circle. Accountability mirrored. No, Gavin says quietly, answering his own question. I wouldn't have. If you'd walked in wearing Armani. If you'd had luggage handlers. If you'd looked the way I expected wealth to look. I would have treated you differently. Silence. Long painful. That's the first honest thing you've said today, Cyrus responds. Still not turning. Remember how it felt to admit that. Hold on to it. Because that feeling is the beginning of understanding. He walks out. Door closing behind him. Gavin sits alone. Patricia beside him, but somehow still alone. The room feels smaller. The air heavier. What was that? Patricia asks. Therapy? Confrontation? Punishment? Accountability, Gavin says. Real accountability. Not legal. Not corporate. Just one person telling another person exactly what they did and why it mattered. Patricia packs her briefcase. Does it help? Hearing it, Gavin doesn't know. Can't know. Too raw. Too fresh. Too much truth at once. But something shifted. Some wall cracked. Some defense weakened. Maybe that's the point. Maybe accountability isn't supposed to feel good. Isn't supposed to provide closure or redemption or clean endings. Maybe it's supposed to hurt. Break open. Force confrontation with uncomfortable truths. And maybe, if you're willing to sit in that discomfort long enough, something new can grow from the wreckage. Outside, Cyrus walks to his car. Lenora beside him. Think he'll change? She asks. Doesn't matter what I think, Cyrus says. What matters is whether he's willing to do the work. Whether he'll choose growth over defensiveness. Whether he'll use this as a beginning instead of an ending. And if he doesn't, Cyrus opens the car door. Then he becomes another cautionary tale. Another person who chose comfort over change. Another example of what happens when you refuse to examine your own biases. He gets in, starts the engine. Either way, he adds, the message is sent. Assumptions cost. Dignity matters. And power, when used strategically, creates accountability where systems fail. They drive away, leaving Gavin alone with questions, choices, possibilities, the outcome uncertain, the path unclear, but the opportunity present. And sometimes, opportunity is all anyone gets. What they do with it determines everything else. If someone gave you a chance to really change after you messed up badly, would you take it? Or would you stay defensive? Think about that. 3 months pass. The Elysian crown looks the same from outside. Same marble. Same chandeliers. Same revolving doors spinning at the entrance. But everything inside changed. New CEO. Keisha Montgomery. 42. Started as a front desk associate 15 years ago. Worked every department. Knows the operation from bottom up. First black woman to lead the company. Her first move. Fire everyone who dismissed complaints. Not quietly. Publicly. With explanation. Her second move, anonymous audits. Random visits from executives posing as regular guests. Testing culture. Measuring respect. Making sure change is real, not performed. Her third move, promote people who try to speak up. Simone got assistant guest relations manager. Terrence from housekeeping became operations supervisor. Maya from legal became VP of compliance and culture. The changes ripple through all 32 properties. Staff meetings focus on dignity. Training emphasizes respect. Evaluations include cultural competence alongside revenue targets. Some staff leave. Can't adjust. Can't accept that old ways won't work anymore. Others stay and struggle. Learning. Growing. Uncomfortable, but committed. And some thrive. People who always believed hospitality meant seeing humans, not bank accounts. People who waited years for systems to match values. Simone stands at the front desk. Different posture now. Authority earned. Responsibility embraced. A man walks in. Black. 30-something. Athletic shorts. T-shirt. Gym bag over his shoulder. He approaches. Checking in. Reservation under Williams. Simone types. Finds the booking. Presidential suite. No hesitation. No extra questions. Just, welcome, Mr. Williams. Your suite is ready. Can I get you anything to make your stay more comfortable? He blinks. Surprised. That's it. No ID verification? No card authorization? No questions about whether I'm really the person who booked it. Simone smiles. Knowing. You gave me your name. I found your reservation. Everything else is just making assumptions. And we don't do that here anymore. The man's eyes water slightly. He clears his throat. You have no idea how much that means. Actually, Simone says gently, I do. She hands him the key card. He takes it. Pauses. I stayed here 2 years ago. They made me show 3 forms of ID and almost called security. I swore I'd never come back. I'm sorry that happened, Simone says. Genuine. But we're not that place anymore. And if you give us another chance, we'll prove it. He nods. Walks toward the elevator. Dignity restored. Respect given. Simple transaction made meaningful by context. That night, Keisha sits in her office. Same space Marcus occupied. Different energy entirely. Maya enters. Tablet in hand. Monthly culture report. How are we doing? Complaint rate dropped 68%. Guest satisfaction up 12% across all demographics. Staff retention improved 21%. Maya pulls up graphs. But there's tension. Some longtime staff struggling with the changes. Feeling like they're being policed. Like they can't do their jobs without being accused of bias. Keisha nods. Expected this. Schedule listening sessions. Let them voice concerns. Explain why these changes matter. Help them understand that accountability is an attack. It's standard. And if they can't adjust, then we help them transition elsewhere. Compassionately. Professionally. But firmly. Keisha leans back. Culture change is uncomfortable. For everyone. But discomfort isn't discrimination. And if people can't tell the difference, they can't work here. Maya makes notes. The federal audit comes back next week. Early indication is they'll recommend continued monitoring, but no criminal charges. Because we cooperated fully. Because you cooperated fully. Opened everything. Admitted wrongdoing. Implemented real reforms before they demanded them. Keisha smiles slightly. Imagine that. Honesty working better than defense. They sit with that truth. So obvious. So rarely practiced. What about Valine? Maya asks. Any contact? None. The Meridian got the contract. 3-year commitment. They're thriving. We're rebuilding. Keisha looks out the window. City lights stretching forever. And that's fair. We lost him because we deserved to lose him. Now we have to earn back trust. Guest by guest. Interaction by interaction. Day by day. Do you think we will? I think we have to try. Because the alternative is becoming irrelevant. Outdated. A relic of old hospitality that valued appearance over humanity. Keisha stands. And I'd rather close than run a business built on making people feel unwelcome. 2 blocks away, Gavin sits in a small apartment. Cheaper than his old place. Quieter. Less prestigious address. His laptop glows in the darkness. Job search websites open. Applications started but not finished. Because every application requires explanation. Every interview requires addressing the video. Every opportunity dies when they Google his name. But something else is open too. Online course. Understanding implicit bias. Week 3. Assignments submitted. Quizzes completed. Learning happening slowly. Painfully. His phone buzzes. Email. Subject. Your application. Hospitality consultant position. He opens it. Braces for rejection. Thank you for your application and your honesty about past experiences. We appreciate your willingness to discuss mistakes and growth. We'd like to schedule an interview. This position specifically works with organizations implementing cultural change. Your perspective, both as someone who enforced harmful practices and someone working to understand why, could be valuable. If you're interested, please respond by Friday. Gavin reads it 3 times. Making sure it's real. Making sure he's not imagining possibility where none exists. He responds immediately. Yes, I'm interested. Thank you for the chance. Small step. Uncertain outcome. But movement forward instead of staying stuck. Across town, Cyrus and Lenora review quarterly reports. The Meridian exceeded projections, Lenora says. Summit was flawless. Already booked for next 3 years. Other clients requesting similar arrangements. Because they prioritized culture over optics, Cyrus says. That's the lesson. Excellence without dignity is just expensive oppression. Think the Elysian crown learned it? Some of them did. Some never will. But the ones who did are building something better. Cyrus closes his laptop. That's how systems change. Not all at once. One decision at a time. One person choosing differently. One company realizing reputation without respect means nothing. His phone buzzes. Message from Jamal Rodriguez, the tech consultant who shared his story, who helped the video spread, who added his voice to thousands of others. Started a consulting firm helping hotels audit their own culture before outsiders force them to. Using what happened to you as case study. Hope that's okay. Cyrus smiles. Types back. More than okay. That's the whole point. Turn pain into progress. Use exposure to create accountability. Keep going. Change ripples outward. One video. One consequence. One moment of accountability creating conditions for thousands more. Hotels across the country review policies. Not from goodness. From fear. But fear creates space for learning. And learning, if done honestly, becomes something more than self-protection. It becomes growth. The Elysian crown survives. Not thriving yet, but surviving. Rebuilding. Slowly earning back credibility one respectful interaction at a time. Gavin gets the interview. Doesn't know if he'll get the job, but knows he's different than he was 4 months ago. Broken open. Forced to see. Choosing to grow instead of staying defensive. Simone leads with authority earned through witnessing. Through staying. Through believing systems could change if enough people demanded it. And Cyrus keeps testing. Keep observing. Keeps using power strategically to create accountability where none exists. Because the work never ends. The test never stops. Assumptions keep forming. Biases keep operating. Systems keep perpetuating unless confronted. But now people know. Someone's always watching. Everything can be recorded. Consequences are real. And maybe that fear of exposure will do what conscience couldn't. Force people to pause before judging. Think before assuming. Treat everyone with dignity not because cameras are rolling, but because dignity is the only real standard of excellence. What's one assumption you've made about someone based on how they looked? How would you handle it differently now? 18 months later. Sunday morning. 9:23 a.m. A hotel in Chicago. Different city. Same test. Cyrus walks through revolving doors. Navy hoodie. Canvas backpack. Worn boots. Same uniform. Same deliberate choice. The lobby gleams. Modern design. Less traditional than the Elysian crown. More contemporary. But expensive. High-end. The kind of place where assumptions live. He approaches the front desk. Young man working. Name tag, says Jordan. Early 20s. Focused on his screen. Checking in, Cyrus says. Reservation under Valine. Jordan types. Finds the booking. Luxury suite. 3 nights. He looks up. Sees the hoodie. Sees the backpack. And Cyrus watches. Waiting. Testing. Seeing what happens next. Jordan smiles. Welcome, Mr. Valine. I see you're with us for 3 nights. Business or pleasure? Business. Excellent. Your suite has a great workspace if you need it. Can I help you with anything else? Restaurant reservations? Transportation? Anything at all. No extra questions. No assumptions. No suggestions about different rooms. Just hospitality. Simple. Respectful. Exactly what it should be. Cyrus takes the key card. Thank you. My pleasure. Enjoy your stay. That's it. Transaction complete. Test passed. Culture revealed. Cyrus walks to the elevator. Pulls out his phone. Texts Lenora. Chicago location approved. They passed. She responds immediately, moving forward with contract negotiations. Good find, because that's how Cyrus works now. Every city, every summit, every contract. Anonymous evaluation first. Culture assessment before financial discussions. Values confirmed before commitments made. Some hotels pass. Some fail. Success and failure determined not by amenities or architecture, but by how they treat people who don't announce their wealth. The Meridian thrives. Expanded. New locations. known throughout the industry as the place that chose respect over assumptions. The place that won the contract everyone else lost. The Elysian crown survives. Transformed but diminished. Lost prestige costs years to rebuild. But they're trying. Doing the work. Changing systems. Promoting people who believe dignity matters. Gavin works as a consultant now. Small firm. Limited projects. Helping organizations understand implicit bias. Teaching from experience. Sharing his failure as cautionary tale. Still uncomfortable. Still learning. Still growing. Some clients dismiss him. Former discriminator teaching about discrimination feels hypocritical. Others value the perspective. Understand that people who failed and faced consequences sometimes teach the hardest lessons. Simone runs operations at the Elysian Crown. Youngest VP in company history. Black woman leading transformation. Proof that systems can change when people who understand dignity lead them. And everywhere, in hotels across the country, staff think twice before judging. Not because they suddenly became better people, but because they saw what assumption costs. Saw career destroyed. Contract canceled. Reputation burned. Fear works when conscience doesn't. Not ideal, but effective. Cyrus rides the elevator up. Watches floor numbers change. Thinks about all the hotels he's tested. All the times he walked in looking ordinary. All the different responses. Some places see guests. Some see bank accounts. Some see threats. Some see opportunities. And the ones who see people, just people deserving respect, those are the ones who survive. Thrive. Build reputations that last beyond luxury and location. He enters his suite. Sets down his backpack. Looks out at Chicago skyline. Different city. Same lesson. Dignity isn't negotiable. Respect isn't optional. Excellence without humanity is just expensive oppression dressed in marble and crystal. His phone rings. Unknown number. He answers. Mr. Valine? This is Carmen Rodriguez. I'm the general manager here. Jordan mentioned you checked in, and I wanted to personally welcome you and make sure everything is perfect. Cyrus smiles. Everything's excellent. Your team did well. Thank you. That means a lot. We've been following the work you do. The cultural assessments. The accountability standards. It's changed how we think about hospitality. Changed how we train. Changed everything really. Good. I hope when you're ready to announce your decision about the contract, you'll remember we weren't just following a script. We believe this. We live it. Every guest. Every day. I know, Cyrus says. That's why you passed the test. Silence. Then, there was a test? There's always a test. Life is a test. Every interaction. Every assumption. Every moment you choose to see people or overlook them. Carmen absorbs this. Thank you for giving us the chance to show who we are. Thank you for being worth finding. They hang up. Cyrus sets the phone down. Walks back to the window. The city moves below. Millions of people. Millions of interactions. Millions of chances to reveal character. And somewhere in those millions, someone is being judged. Dismissed. Assumed incapable. Made to feel unwelcome. Maybe they'll speak up. Maybe someone will record it. Maybe consequence will find the person who judged wrongly. Or maybe not. Maybe silence will win. Maybe systems will protect perpetrators. Maybe nothing will change. But one thing is certain. Cyrus will keep testing. Keep observing. Keep using power to create accountability. Because assumptions are expensive. Dignity matters. And real power doesn't announce itself. It just watches. Decides. Acts. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. The Elysian Crown teaches business schools now. Case study in cultural failure and institutional reform. Students discuss what went wrong, what changed, what lessons transfer to other industries. The video plays in diversity trainings, corporate seminars, leadership workshops. For million views turned into millions more as organizations use it to teach implicit bias. Gavin's name is Googleable forever. But now, when people search, they find two stories. The man who discriminated, and the man who learned from it. Both true, both part of his legacy. Simone speaks at hospitality conferences, shares her perspective. Front desk associate who witnessed everything, who stayed, who helped rebuild, living proof that change is possible when people who understand dignity lead. And Cyrus keeps walking through hotel lobbies, wearing hoodies, carrying backpacks, testing culture, measuring humanity, choosing partners who see people instead of profiles. The work never ends, but the message is clear. Treat everyone with dignity, not because you know who they are, but because you don't. Power is quiet. Judgment is expensive. Assumptions cost everything. And in the age of phones and cameras and instant accountability, every moment matters. Every interaction counts. Every decision reveals who you really are when you think consequences don't exist. But consequences always exist. Sometimes immediate, sometimes delayed, but always coming. The question isn't whether they'll arrive. The question is what you'll do knowing they might. Will you choose dignity? Will you choose respect? Will you see people instead of stereotypes? Or will you become the next video, the next cautionary tale, the next name that teaches lessons through failure? The choice is yours. Every single day, every single interaction, every single moment someone walks through your doors looking nothing like you expected power to look. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It observes, tests, decides, and judges those who judge. This is just one story, but there are thousands more like it happening every day. If this inspired you or made you think differently, subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Turn on notifications. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from and what lessons you're taking with you. These stories matter. Your voice matters. Let's keep this conversation going. Because change happens when enough people decide dignity isn't negotiable. When enough people choose to see. When enough people understand that how you treat others when you think no one's watching defines everything. Subscribe now. More stories coming. More lessons to learn. More opportunities to grow. Don't miss them.